This video is brought to you by ProBoxingSupplies.com, where you can get 25% off your purchase now, and Boss Rutan's O2 Trainer. Check out O2Trainer.com.
You know, it's a big difference on what I did in college or in high school, where I was trying to score points on a guy, or I had an opponent trying to score points on me. I'm trying to hurt this guy, and he's trying to do damage to me. So the stakes are much greater. You know, this is the biggest sporting event of the summer, and and for a reason. And I heard somebody else compare it, and somebody said, "Well, what about the Olympic Games?" I'm scratching my head and going, "Well, I love the Olympics, but let's be fair. Just because somebody's got the Olympics on in the background while their family's eating dinner, it isn't exactly the same. You know, it's not the same as selling out venues. It's not the same as people traveling to a destination, buying T-shirts, fighting with each other over work, placing bets, talking about something for 2 years, waiting for two guys to finally settle their business. There is no sport, there is no fight in the history of combat, or in all of 2012, that's got as much weight and as much emotion, not just from fans and media, but from the athletes that are participating as this one. So, you know, the stakes are completely different. And, I'm not playing around. You know, he thinks that's funny to say he's going to break my face. Tell him I got 2 words for him: medium rare.
All right, Dana, just to touch along something that been touched on a couple times here. UFC 100 is still your guys' benchmark in terms of pay-per-view buys. What are you guys targeting for this event? One is that reasonable to hit 100 numbers, or is $1 million plus? Is that something that would be a success?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we plan on doing over 1 million buys here. And yeah, we expect UFC 100 numbers.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, you guys.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Dave Meltzer with Wrestling Observer.
First, I want to talk to, and thanks, by the way, for taking the time, but I wanted to talk to Tito about, it's kind of emotionally, what does it mean to you, that they named you to the Hall of Fame, and also, you're just a couple of weeks out of the final fight of your career. It's been a long journey. You were kind of a pioneer in the sport. What kind of emotionally, going into the final fight, what are you thinking?
I think it's just preparation, preparing for the fight of your life. I've been waiting 15 years for this, for 15 minutes. Only 15 minutes of my life I'm going to have to give. So over the last 8 weeks, I've been given that 15 minutes, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours a day, 6 days a week, and preparing for this fight. I know who Forrest is. I know how he fights, and I know how he likes to fight. And I'm going to trying to absorb as much as I possibly can for the next week. And I've been doing it the last 8 weeks of continue on with the winning mentality. This fight means the world to me, and it will show on July 7th how much it means to me. I'm not coming in playing around. I'm not coming in talking no smack. I'm coming in to fight. And the Force is ready. I'm ready. So let's fight. And this being inducted to the Hall of Fame, I'm very thankful for Dana, Lorenzo, for Tito for representing this to me. I think it's just a qualification, just showing that through the hard work and dedication that I put through MMA and through the UFC that I've grown, and I became the person I am today, and I'm thankful for it.
And for Forrest, you fought Tito twice. As far as like whether it's a rivalry or a grudge or something like that, I mean, what are you kind of thinking as far as is it settling the score, or is it just this is just your next fight?
No. Obviously, we've got some history. It's the biggest fight to date. The thing is, you can't over-prepare for the fight like this because you just got in the final. There's so much invested in this. This being his final fight. Just everything that's surrounded him recently. And, the last couple fights not going the way you want him to. I'm coming off the same thing. So, my whole thing is never lose 2 in a row. So.
And for Dana, a couple of things. You've got a couple of Ultimate Fighter seasons coming up. By the way, is there a time frame of the next filming for a Brazil show, or a time frame when the next Brazil show is going to air? And also for the the Australia, UK, and the US version. I mean, do you have any kind of coaches in mind and when those announcements are going to be made?
I'm still working on it.
And you had mentioned the other night about Kanan Jr. Not being in Toronto. Can you kind of elaborate on, is there a time frame change, or is there just another venue that you're looking at doing that in?
I have no other info. I'd like to keep this call. We got like over 100 and something people on here strictly to this card. I have nothing else.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
And we'll go next to Jeff Wagenheim with SportsIllustrated.com.
I have a question for Anderson. The first fight with Chael, the surprising thing was how much he outstruck you several times in the fight, because you're considered the top striker in UFC. So I'm sure you'll adjust to that. But how will you keep from being underneath him with Chael Sonnen on top of you for the better part of 4.5 rounds?
Anderson, na primeira luta contra o Chael Sonnen, você é conhecido como um dos melhores strikers nesse jogo de MMA, e pareceu que o Chael pegou um pouquinho melhor de você em pé. Mas em outro assunto, na parte de wrestling e a parte de derrubar, como você vai não deixar ele ficar por baixo nele dessa vez?
Olha só, por baixo, por cima, de lado, de pé, ele vai apanhar de novo. Ele vai apanhar muito. Vai apanhar. Dessa vez, não tem conversinha. Depois que ele entrar lá dentro, ele vai engolir todos os dentes da boca dele. Eu vou quebrar todos os dentes da boca dele. Eu vou arrancar dente por dente da boca dele. Depois que eu bater nele, muita gente vai ficar assustada com o que vai acontecer com o esporte. Eu estou dedicado e preparado e, principalmente, designado a fazer uma coisa que ninguém nunca fez dentro do UFC. Quebrar o Chael Sonnen inteiro. Ele vai sair com a cara toda quebrada, braço quebrado, perna quebrada. Eu vou quebrar ele inteiro. E diga pra ele, ele tá escutando. Ele vai apanhar muito. Ele vai sair de maca lá de dentro.
It doesn't matter if I'm on the bottom, the side, the top. It doesn't matter. Chael Sonnen's going to get his ass kicked like he's never gotten his ass kicked before. What I'm going to do inside the octagon is something that's going to change the image of the sport. I'm going to beat his ass like he's never been beaten before. I'm going to make sure that every one of his teeth are broken, his arms are broke, his legs are broke. He's going to not be able to walk out there by him, out of the octagon by himself. I can guarantee that. And I know that he's listening. So the game's over. No more shit talking. It's on now.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMA Weekly.
First question is for Anderson. Anderson, obviously this stuff with Chael has, been very personal over the last couple of years. But for you personally, where does this fight rank in your legacy of the sport?
Eu sei que essa luta contra o Chael afetou você muito pessoalmente, mas na tua vida e na tua carreira como lutador, aonde essa luta cai no ranking da tua vida?
Não me afetou pessoalmente. Não tem, essa parada é totalmente profissional. Só que eu vou quebrar ele de porrada. Não tem essa. Ele vai aprender a respeitar os lutadores brasileiros, vai aprender a respeitar o país que ele respeitou. Ele vai aprender a respeitar os caras que levaram o esporte aonde ele pratica hoje. Os caras que criaram o esporte que ele pratica hoje, que é o MMA. E não tem essa parada de wrestling, não tem esse negócio. Ele vai dar o melhor dele, não vai adiantar. Eu vou bater nele. Eu vou quebrar ele inteiro. Esse cara é um marginal, é um vagabundo sem vergonha, é um marginal que ele vai apanhar como ele nunca apanhou. Eu vou bater nele porque a mãe dele nunca bateu nele, nunca educou ele. Então eu vou bater nele, eu vou quebrar os dentes da boca dele, eu vou quebrar os braços dele, eu vou quebrar as pernas dele. Esse cara nunca mais vai falar uma merda de nenhum lutador. Eu vou quebrar ele inteiro, eu vou quebrar. Vocês não estão entendendo o que vai acontecer. Vocês não estão entendendo. Acabou a brincadeira. Não tem brincadeira. Ele vai apanhar muito. Não tem brincadeira. Acabou o papo. Acabou a brincadeira. Ele pode falar o que ele quiser, mas só que agora acabou. Agora é porrada. Ele nunca tomou porrada na vida dele.
affect me personally, but I'm just going to make him pay and make him eat everything that he said, not only about myself, but about our country, about everything. I'm going to make him pay and make sure that he never disrespects any Brazilian, any fighter, not only Brazilian, any fighter. I'm going to beat him, maybe the way his parents should have beat him to teach him some manners, because he's disrespectful, he's a criminal, and I'm going to beat him up like he's never been beat before. The game's over. He could say whatever he wants, but I'm not playing anymore. He's going to get beat like he's never been beaten before.
We saw Anderson in the documentary Like Water that you did. We saw obviously a lot different build up to the last fight. What's the biggest difference in your mindset now versus, let's say, when you were doing that documentary leading into that fight?
Ele assistiu o filme Like Water e ele viu que chegando nessa luta é uma atitude diferente. O que é a maior diferença dessa vez lutando com ele em comparação com a primeira?
Vai ter muita diferença. A última vez ele lutou comigo e perdeu. Dessa vez ele vai perder e vai sair todo quebrado. Ele vai precisar fazer uma plástica.
There's going to be no difference in the end. The first time we fought, he stepped out the loser, and he's going to step out losing again this time. The only difference is that this time he's going to have to go see a plastic surgeon after the fight.
And one question for Dana. Dana, obviously Anderson's pretty fired up today. You've been a part of the UFC for so many years. Would you say this is the most heated rivalry you've ever seen in UFC history?
Yep. There's been some bad ones. You had Rampage and Rashad and things like that. But I think what makes this one so crazy is I've promoted every Anderson Silva fight since he's been in the UFC, and I've never heard him talk even remotely close like this. He usually doesn't say anything negative, disrespectful. I've never heard Anderson Silva talk like this.
Thanks very much, guys.
We'll go next to Franklin McNeil with ESPN.
My question is for Anderson. Anderson, obviously, everyone's talking about the fire that you're exhibiting in this rematch, and I want to know, is part of your response does it have to do with the attitude in Brazil? Some of the comments that Chael has made about your home country, and is pride a part of what you're feeling right now?
Anderson, em todas as lutas tua, eu nunca vi você com tanta raiva como você está dessa vez. Essa raiva é por causa que ele falou do Brasil? Por que tem tanta raiva dessa vez? Hello? Hello? Anderson? We might have lost him.
It appears his line has dropped. We will redial.
Okay.
That's all right. We're getting close. I don't think there's too much more Anderson Silva can say than he's already said. If you guys have some questions for Chael or for Tito or Forrest, I honestly don't know what else Anderson Silva could possibly say.
Yeah, I don't think Anderson's going to say this is it. Anderson's already repeated in various times what he's going to do. And
I think it's pretty clear how he feels and what he wants to do and what's going to happen. So, anybody have any questions for Chael or Tito or Forrest?
We'll go next to Steven Maraca with MMAJunkie.com.
Well, Chael, I guess my question for you is, how do you feel about what Anderson has been saying during this call? I mean, the timing of it, and then obviously the fire behind it. What's your impression of the call today? Hello?
All right, it looks like we're going to have to wrap this thing up. I guess that's it. Guys, got anything for Tito or Forrest?
We'll go next to Camila Ortiz with El Octagono.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Dana, first of all, thanks for having us this conference call. I wanted to say the support that you've been getting, the UFC has been getting in Brazil is always amazing. And would you say that this fight card and all the fan expo will be bigger than the events that have been in Brazil?
I think this is going to be. I think this is going to be the biggest sporting event of the year. Definitely the biggest fight of the year for us, and one of the biggest sporting events of the year. I think, yeah, it's a big week. It's a big weekend with the expo and with this huge fight. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm looking very forward to it.
And I was going to ask Chael Sonnen a question, but I'll ask you. He said that fans in the U.S. aren't that loyal. They seem to jump on bandwagons. Would you agree to that, or would you say that it's just a thing depending on the flow of the fighters, depending when they're coming off a win or a lose?
Yeah, I think it depends. It's unfortunate that these guys are involved in a sport where you're as good as your last fight. You know what I mean? You look at the Clay Guida thing that happened the other night. For 2 days, people were cheering and chanting Clay Guida. When he gets in the fight, starts fighting the way that he fought, and by the third round, they turned on him and were cheering for Maynard. You know, it's the nature of this business.
And I have one last question for, I guess this could go for Tito and for Forrest. Do you guys feel that the main event fight has taken focus away from the fact that this is, I guess, like a retirement fight, that you guys are huge names in the sport as well?
No, not at all. Dana's doing his job. This is about the UFC. My job is to fight. And on July 7th, I'll fight. And I'm going to fight with my heart, I'm going to fight with my soul, and I'm going to get my hand raised.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys taking time to answer my questions, and we're definitely looking forward to this card, and the Fan Expo will be there in Vegas supporting you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
We'll go next.
All right, guys. That's it. I'm going to wrap this thing up. We appreciate you guys calling in and taking the time. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the stuff.
Godspeed and party on.